Welcome to everyone to this space regarding Web3 and DeFi security. First, I would request you personally to introduce yourself or all the speakers currently present here. So we can start with Aditya. Introduce yourself. Just a quick introduction about yourself.
Sure, Yash. Hey guys, thanks for the invitation to the space. I'm Aditya, founder of Web3 Grow. We're a Web3 native content and lead generation agency. Glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome, great. Maika, you just a quick intro about yourself.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Micah, co-founder and CEO of Webacy, and we build security and safety products for your Web3 non-custodial wallet. So if you have a non-custodial wallet like MetaMask, Ledger, any of the above, you should be using us. Thanks.
Yeah, great, great, awesome. Shield, you a quick intro.
Hey guys, E-Man here. You can see my Twitter in the audience as well. We are Shield. We are a scam detection and content moderation engine for Web3 platforms. So we're on the API side. If you're building a platform and looking to essentially filter out potential scams, feel free to get in touch.
Great, great, awesome. So, what do you guys think about the current situation of market? There has been a lot of stuff going currently. Just we'll have a quick discussion regarding that, just 1 or 2 minute discussion. Then we would get into our main topic. Like, what do you guys think current situation of crypto? How it would be? How would you be building in the bear market and stuff? Your opinion, just a casual one.
I can start off. I'll be brief. Things are pretty scary overall. Definitely, still kind of waiting to see how things are going to play out, expecting to see more fallout from like a price perspective in the markets. But personally, I'm not super exposed right now to those things, so I'm okay.
Mhm.
And that being said, I do think that there are, it's hard to say positives, but I do think that there's kind of like opportunities
Mhm.
in the middle of all of the destruction. Right, like a lot of people are going to continue to leave the market, and a lot of times the people that are leaving the market are the people that perhaps caused this issue in the first place. So I think at the end of all of this, I think we're going to see a more, at least just like a more focused environment where most of the builders that you see are going to be pretty serious builders, and that's an exciting environment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I too think the same thing. I too like think the same thing actually. The real builders are gonna stay for a long time in crypto and Web3. So yeah, that was it. Like let's start towards our main topic of this space, that is Web3 and DeFi security. So firstly, I would like to ask you guys is like how can DeFi be secured? Like what are certain practices or something? How can the DeFi stuff be secured, decentralized finance?
Sure, Yash. So, from a very rough perspective, when we look at DeFi and security about DeFi, there are two primary things that we need to focus on. One is the platform, the network, the smart contracts, and the blockchain. Like this is something which needs to be foolproof, right? You cannot afford errors there. And the second
Absolutely.
is the user end,
Mm-hmm.
where you need to ensure that you prevent scams, you prevent phishing, and ensure that a secure environment for users where they understand how to interact with the protocol and be able to avoid any mishaps. So that is the two primary things that I just laid out for the discussion here.
Yeah, great. Micah, would you like to add something to it?
Sure. Yeah, I agree with it, what Aditya said, particularly when it comes to all of the different vectors of security and what makes something secure. And I think what we learned this week is that security is not just what the code is or how people interact with things, it's actually what systems we trust, right? And so a lot of the things that happened this week were centralized entities. And so whether or not we move more towards decentralization as we were supposed to in the first place, we'll see. But that's one piece of security that we have to think about is centralization versus decentralization.
Great. Iman, would like to add something to it? Your opinions.
Nothing additional to add there. I just echo everything that y'all just said. Mike, I definitely agree with that point on just kind of like expanding the breadth of how you think about security. There's a lot of moving parts to it, so we need more builders.
Great, great, great. Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. So, what are some of kind of the attacks, some attack types which generally occur into Web3 protocols and projects? Like nowadays, we are seeing that literally many Web3 bridges and protocols got hacked, the wormhole bridge and Binance bridge as well, and there are more to it. But what do you think? Like currently, like shed some light upon types of attacks. Like what are the generally occurring attacks?
Well, Yash, the most I just put out the most commonly known attack, which is the 51% attack, the 51 attack.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what essentially means is that any blockchain network has miners uh, which process the hash so that the protocol functions. So what happens in a
Mhm.
51 attack is 51% of the nodes in any network are controlled by a single group of miner who can then exercise their like particular decisions onto the entire network. And this is like one of the most prominent mistakes that happen in a lot of DeFi protocols.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, the like you said, it's absolutely true regarding the 51 attack. Like we can also frame it like this that these are types of attacks done by miners, like who basically control more than 50% most probably the hash rate of the blockchain. Like, is it right? Can we add it to it? It
Yeah,
relates.
exactly. So they validate the nodes, and since they control 51% of them, they have a centralized authority over the network.
Okay. Would anyone like to add more attacks? Like any common attacks generally occurring?
I'll just share a quick fun fact. So we hear about like the wormhole and the bridge hacks, and these actually consist of the actual value number of like like assets that get stolen. So let's say this year alone, it's between like 2 to 4 billion, I think, at this point, stolen through hacks and scams. So the volume or the asset number is mostly through these larger bridge hacks, but the actual volume or the number of hacks and scams themselves are actually through more mundane hacks and scams like phishing attacks and smaller things where individual users are getting weird Discord links or people are getting phished on Twitter. So the actual volume and number of hacks are way more. It's like somewhere around like more than 90% are these smaller mundane attacks. It's just that the value volume, it happens to be these larger bridge hacks.
Yeah. That makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, phishing attacks and all are the most commonly occurring attacks. Mostly, like people receive some kinds of fishy links filled with malware onto their emails and SMS, and they click do it, and hackers like fetch all their data from it. Yeah. So now, would ask you, is there some of the what are some of the basic use cases of DeFi? Security part, we will keep it some time for side. And what are some of the basic use cases? Anyone for the new listeners?
Yeah. So first of all, DeFi is the most efficient substitute for whatever conventional financial interactions we have today. For example, lending, borrowing, asset management. Uh, all of this can be done with the decentralization of blockchain. So essentially, whatever people do today with centralized financial institutions, you can do the exact same things with DeFi more efficiently. And then there are several newer use cases which include tokenomics and how native tokens and an economy can be built for DAOs and decentralized communities. So this is where more use cases for DeFi remain to be explored.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are the pros and cons of DeFi? Would anyone like to discuss that? Some of the advantages and disadvantages of decentralized finance. Iman, would you like
Yeah,
to
I'll
add?
speak a little bit. And
Yeah.
beyond just like DeFi, I'm less of like a DeFi guy, but decentralized, the decentralized web in general. Advantages, I would say you have more control, more ownership, more autonomy as a user. Obviously, like if you have the ability to like port your assets over from one platform to another, and really like just be in control of like what you can do and what who you can transact with, is great. But the big disadvantage, and that's kind of like what Micah was talking about with the phishing attacks and everything, is that because you have that decentralized control over your assets through these decentralized wallets, um, now like the point of vulnerability has kind of shifted from these like large platforms that in the past, everyone was pretty much just focused on like hacking the large platforms, and that's still a problem today. But at the same time, more and more assets are starting to shift into the decentralized custody. So now, for a lot of scammers, it is much easier for them to trick someone into like signing, a malicious transaction that steals like a few $1,000s or tens of thousands of dollars from their wallet, versus them trying to, hack into like Coinbase or Binance, which does happen once again, but it is a much more complex operation there. So yeah, I think that's kind of one of the big risks as we continue pushing more into like decentralized custody. Ownership and security just becomes a bigger challenge for the individual user.
Mm-hmm. And something about transparency. Anything would like to add regarding transparency part? Like how are the things transparent in DeFi?
Yeah. So things are like it is way more transparent than in centralized finance, since there are no intermediaries and all of the records are publicly available on the network. People can easily access this and based on that make decisions and assess the credibility. And adding to what the previous speaker said, one major disadvantage in DeFi is that you don't have a central accountable body. For example, if you are scammed today, you can approach a bank, you can approach an investment firm or any authority. You can approach the whatever is the official financial body of the government, and you can report the scam, and you'll get so you'll receive some or the other form of compensation or actions will be taken. But when it comes to DeFi, if you are ever a victim of such scams, the procedure of finding the accountable person and sorting things out is still a space where we need to see a lot of improvement.
Yeah, that makes sense. Micah, would you like to add something, or that was it?
Yeah, I think one thing that we always talk about with decentralized stuff and stuff being on blockchain is that theoretically we should be able to look at the code and everything's transparent, quote unquote, but who really actually does, right? It's kind of like
Yeah,
it's this
yeah,
promise
makes
that things
sense.
are transparent, and it's just we don't look at it. So I think that's just one thing to consider.
Yeah, okay. And what do you think? Like, are the dApps scalable? Like, still is the DeFi protocol system scalable, or still it has the problem of scalability in the case of DeFi?
What I think is uh, DeFi is presently only accessible to cryptocurrency users. And since a majority of the users in our economy are fiat based, making DeFi accessible to them is very, very difficult. So, uh, the only path of making DeFi towards mass adoption is to either shift a majority of the user base from fiat to crypto, or somehow integrate DeFi with fiat currency so that a lot of people can benefit from it.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. Like, we could like summarize it as mass adoption of decentralized finance and blockchain would solve this, the problem of scalability, right? Um,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Would like to discuss about some of the risks involved in decentralized finance. Apart from the attacks, are there any risks somewhat which you would like to discuss, like from the government point of view or anything like that?
Well, there is always a possibility of regulations, which might end up harming investors and traders. Since DeFi is essentially not agreeing with the centralized institutions, be it of the government or financial bodies, there is always this looming threat that uh, things might not go the way they are, and these bodies or institutions might try to prevent these protocols from operating.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is the case actually. And what do you guys like? Anyone would like to add something to it? Anything? So apart from the attacks, are there any risks to the decentralized finance ecosystem?
Do we? Is there any space to talk about NFTs, or is that not a super interesting topic for those here?
Regarding NFTs,
Yeah,
actually the space is regarding Web3 and DeFi security.
Shield is more of an NFT security API for the most part, but yeah, I mean, I see. I think I see a monkey in the audience. That's relevant.
Okay,
Yeah, you
okay,
got it.
okay. Just a question regarding DeFi, then we'll get on to NFTs as well. No worries regarding that. Okay, so just a question regarding DeFi, that how can DeFi be applied in like does DeFi has a use case? Some of the use case which you would like to discuss regarding decentralized finance.
Well, yes, I believe the most primary use case for DeFi, which will spearhead the adoption, will be yield farming and the ability for people to earn an annual return, an APY, on their crypto holdings. So essentially, you can stake your tokens, and a certain percent value of that token will be given back to you every year. And this is what will motivate people to have cryptocurrency as an asset, and will generate passive income from it. So that will be the only utility which will spearhead adoption for DeFi.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah, awesome. Iman, would like to ask you now the basic, very literally basic questions which everyone has in the mind. Not many people, but some of them. Like most of them consider NFTs as just a piece of art. So what could be the possible use cases for NFTs currently in the upcoming future? Because most of them still thinks that buying an NFT is literally like uh, wasting money or something like that. I don't think personally it's anything like that. NFTs properly have a use case, but would like to hear from you as you are totally based into NFTs.
Sounds good. And yeah, just a quick question for you. Do you trade NFTs?
No.
You don't own any NFTs?
Uh, yeah, just received two or three of them in my Phantom wallet, I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
as a
Well,
part of a giveaway I based in the airdrop.
okay. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Solana lately, but yeah, um, there are many use cases for NFTs for those who are skeptics. Number one, I would point at art. Yeah, you mentioned art already as like, hey, it's just art, but art is actually pretty salient, right? The international or the global art market is worth probably billions or tens of billions of dollars, probably much higher than that actually if you think about like some of the art pieces that are in museums and things like that. So just as everything has been moving towards digital, right? Society itself has been moving towards digital. Art too is moving towards digital, and NFTs are the mechanism that essentially makes it easy to transact and associate value with that art. So if you're someone that likes art, if you like having paintings up on your wall, then there's no reason why you wouldn't want to have NFT art on your digital walls one day once you have your metaverse property or whatever that is. Apart from the art use case, though, let me just mention one more thing. Utility is the word that everybody likes to say. Utility can really mean anything. Even art itself can be utility, but a lot of people have kind of started embedding different types of like access into their NFTs. So if you have a certain NFT, maybe you have access to a certain like Discord server where people are posting about the newest coin drops, the newest like alpha opportunities, and the only way that you can get access to those opportunities is if you have the NFT. The same thing happens with in real life events. In fact, I actually have an NFT collection. It's called Ancient Warriors. It's the profile picture that you see in the audience. And we actually have hosted these like NFT galleries in different cities around the world. And if you have our NFT and you come from one of our galleries, you get like a free bottle of champagne. So just thinking about like, okay, it's art, but at the same time, because it's on the blockchain and it's very easy for you to verify who has this NFT and who doesn't have this NFT, and you can't really just like duplicate it, right? It makes it very easy to tie different pieces of value or utility or experiences to ownership of that NFT.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Like as this space is regarding DeFi as well. So how does non-fungible tokens
Sorry,
benefit to the DeFi ecosystem? Anything would
sorry.
you like to add?
I'm not.
Hello?
I mean, I think the DeFi ecosystem and the NFT ecosystem both essentially fall under, you know, Web3 in general.
Mm-hmm.
If you're asking how do NFTs fit into DeFi, I mean, there's NFT protocols where essentially you can stake your NFT, or they have, yeah, basically you put your NFT into like a certain like liquidity pool, and then every day or every hour you'll generate like a certain amount of tokens for staking that NFT. So there are kind of like DeFi activities that you can perform for NFTs, but yeah, I think they're probably starting to intersect a little bit more as we move forward in the development of the market.
Thank you for giving a lot things regarding NFTs as well. So my next question would be like, what are some of the best DeFi practices which should occur in order to prevent the protocols and like all this stuff? So the proper security measures which should be taken in order to prevent the DeFi ecosystem.
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, it is very crucial to ensure that the underlying smart contract for the protocol is foolproof. So, like proper auditing and reviewing of it, so that there is no possibility for an error to occur or for someone to ill use the potential of it. So that is the primary thing that we need to ensure to prevent misfunctioning of a DeFi protocol. Like, yeah, that's the most important one.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Micah, would you like to add something in it?
Yeah, I think another thing is probably just diversification across all investment, right? So if you, not to bring in politics, but if you wanted to invest some in FTX, should have put some in Binance at the same time, right? So just diversification in terms of platforms that you use, centralized, decentralized, all of the above.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Okay. So would like to ask now, like, how is the future of DeFi? According to your opinion, how would DeFi be in future, and what literally would developments occur in DeFi, or anything regarding future of DeFi?
Well, Yash, I believe over the next couple of decades, we'll see a lot of experimentation, right? We won't be seeing mass adoption because DeFi growth will be gradual. So it won't be like online finance today, where in a couple of years it was adopted by a majority of the users. DeFi will take a lot of time, but once we are done through this testing phase and growing phase, I believe we'll have incredibly mass adoption for DeFi, and the number of wallet holders and participants in the Web3 network will increase. And DeFi is certain. I also believe that 80 to 90% of the present protocols won't exist 10 years from now, but those who will survive through these 10 gruesome years will be the ones who will define DeFi for the next century.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. That makes sense. Micah, would you like to add something, or should I move towards the next one, next question?
Yeah, I think the DeFi gives the regular investor a lot of different options that we don't have in our typical like Web2 world. So for example, things like exotic derivatives are things we can invest in now through DeFi. And so I think that's only going to expand and people will be able to try new kinds of things. So that's one good bonus.
Absolutely, yeah. Would like to ask now that in general, just shed some light upon how does these DeFi applications work, these dApps, how do they work in general, in just a short description regarding it. Just an overview. No need to get into detail much.
I feel like Aditya, you might be in a better position, um,
Yeah, yeah,
because
right.
yeah,
So,
I feel like DeFi is a pretty big bucket. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to synthesize that, in one
true, man.
generalized way.
Exactly. Just for a rough understanding, So, DeFi is essentially how normal financial transactions work, but only transparent and on the blockchain. So, a lot of these protocols have a liquidity pool. A liquidity pool is just the community or the members of the protocol staking or collecting all of their assets together so that the particular user can borrow from it or lend to it. And all of this occurs on chain, that is, the record is maintained on the blockchain. And then we have several specific features that every protocol has, which differentiates it from the others. So it is essentially, there is no bank. It is just you directly if you are a lender, you are directly connected to the borrower via the liquidity pool. If you are a staker, you are directly connected to the protocol via the liquidity pool, and that is how a majority of it works.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Uh, yeah, okay. Would like to get somewhat into DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. So, what do you think would be the future of DAOs, or just currently, like the scene is like many people are just forming a Discord server and naming it as a DAO. I won't take any names, but yeah, actually, these are the things. So, what is the future of DAOs, or just it would work as a community, or just as a server, or just as a group of people?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've seen a lot of these communities who just call themselves DAO, and there essentially isn't anything decentralized about them. But yeah, we are seeing a lot of major DAOs and communities coming up, and yes, so you'll have to get into the specificity where yeah, you need a decentralized protocol. You need people to be able to contribute and to be a part of the DAO based on how much they've contributed, and there should not be anyone making centralized decisions. Instead, it is just the community voting upon proposals. Now this occurs on an off-chain basis in a lot of communities, but a DAO, if you have to be 100% DAO community, you'll have to take all of this voting procedure and adding new members on chain, where all of these decisions are actually executed by a smart contract. So we'll see this happening. Presently, the tools which are available for this are not that user friendly. So the experience there is not seamless.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
once this starts occurring, we'll see a lot of proper DAOs popping up.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Micah, would you like to add something to it? Your own opinions or anything from your side?
No, I think he mostly covered it. I actually do have to hop for another call, so just wanted to thank you for the time and space, and see you next time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, just a last question of the space. That is, what do you like? How could be the future of decentralized exchanges? Like currently, as we are seeing that the situation of centralized exchanges isn't good. Many of them are getting collapsed. Many of them are getting bankrupted. So, what is the future of decentralized exchanges in cryptocurrencies?
Well, Yash, from the decentralized exchanges that I have learned about or researched a bit, uh, yeah, so you can't essentially say that they're an improvement on the centralized exchanges because they have their own set of problems and issues which will have to be sorted out. Uh,
Absolutely.
and I believe decentralized exchanges are primarily for investors and trading firms. They are not for a retail trader or an investor, like a common person who wants to, some part of his salary or some part of his business, he wants to invest into crypto and stuff. They'll probably be using centralized exchanges. But people who are very concerned about these transaction fees and the cut taken by a centralized exchange, they'll probably be using DEX.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that is it regarding Web3 and DeFi. All the questions are being answered by you and Imam as well. So yeah, that was it regarding today's space. Answered all these questions, like, and also thank you to you guys for taking out your time and giving such great insights regarding the decentralized finance ecosystem. So yeah, that is it. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
Yash, for
like,
having us.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Welcome, welcome. Great.